Hey guys, and welcome to my QBD guide for all styles of combat. So let's get straight into it. So before I get into the guide, here's the stats of QBD, like her combat level, the life points, weakness, experience, and the charm rates. The Queen Black Dragon is 5 mil an hour consistently. Some hours are 4 mil an hour, some hours are 6, 7, depending on how lucky you are, how fast you get kills. But it usually all averages out to 5 mil an hour if you're a high level player and you are mastered at it. The XP, on the other hand, isn't the greatest here, but the money is just amazing, so it's really worth it. Keep in mind the charm rates are also, you get 3 charms per drop, so it isn't horrible blue charms, but it isn't good either. Don't do this for charms, it's just an added bonus. So now let's get into the requirements and the recommendations of stats and other things for Queen Black Dragon. So first off, you are required to have 60 summoning. And you're not required to have Song from the Depths, but I honestly require it because you need it to have less damage taken when you fight the QBD. And it's a very easy quest, and it just helps a lot. So just do that little quest if you haven't done it yet. And yeah. All the skills on the left aren't required, they're just recommendations, but I highly recommend having 92 plus prayer, or even 95 plus if you can have, so you can have turmoil and soul split. It's not needed, and if you don't have that, I would just pray range instead. But if you have the money, I would definitely go get that. Another really needed stat is 85 plus Herblore. If you don't have that, I would probably stay away from QBD. It's not all that worth it if you don't have it, but you can easily do QBD without it. It's just you won't get as many kills per hour, and it just will be longer kills, meaning more food taken. It just makes it a lot more annoying. So you basically need the 85 Herblore for the super anti-fire pots, so you can wear dual wield weapons and two-handed weapons. Not only should you have 85 plus, I really recommend having extremes and or overloads. Overloads being the best, honestly. They really help at QBD, and they really speed the kills up. Again, if you don't have the stats, I really recommend just going to Frost Dragons or a different area than doing QBD, but by all means, you can definitely do QBD without it. It just makes it a lot harder. And the last recommendation for stats is 88 plus summoning, and that's for the unicorn. You can also have 96 plus for a yak, but I honestly like the unicorn better because the yak, if you die and you have a yak, you lose all the food in there. And the unicorn, I think, is more useful. It's up to you, whichever you want to use. So let's go into the gears. So for melee, this is the gear you should be wearing, and obviously it's best to worst. If you do not have the worst one that I listed, just downgrade even more. I know War Priest armor works, but obviously it's not as good. And the reason I didn't say any Tetsu is because you need DPS on QBD to kill it really fast, and you really don't need that much tank. So just skip the Tetsu. It's too much money to prepare and whatnot. So yeah, just pick the gear that you have and move on. So for magic users, this is the same gear kind of thing for magic. Obviously downgrade if you need to, and then move on to the next section. So for range users, this also is the gear sets that you should use. I forgot to mention it on the last ones, but the reason I have the Slayer helm as the best helm on all 3 ones is because if you have a QBD task, which is actually the Black Dragon task, you can do QBD with that task. You get insane kills per hour. It's nearly 7-8 mil an hour if you are good at it. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to do QBD for a long time, try to get QBD tasks. So now for the inventories and the ability bars for each style. This is the melee one, and if you want, you can just copy what I have. For the optional ones, it's unicorn scrolls if you have a unicorn. Also, you can do yak if you're using a yak, obviously. You don't really need the yak scrolls, though. It's not really needed because you bank the things anyway. Adrenaline pots are optional, but they are very useful if you're going to use Berserk on the last phase. And a captain's log is for banking if you are far enough into player-owned ports where you have a bank in there. It is very useful, and it's right by the QBD, and it's really fast banking. And keep in mind, you can downgrade whatever you want in this, and you can change the ability bar however you want. It's just, I think that works the best. So now here's the magic inventory. It's pretty much the same, just copy and do whatever. And don't forget your runes. And finally, here's the range inventory. And again, don't forget your bolts. That would be a disaster. And then copy the ability bar or do whatever you want with it. And then let's go on to actually killing the QBD. Well, before we get on the QBD, I'm going to show you how to get there. So I'm starting at the player-owned ports portal, and you basically go west until you get to like 2 knights or something. and then there's a cave. You go in there, and then you go south, and blah blah blah, and then you go into a different cave, which brings you to the grot worms, and then you're at the QBD. So that's basically how you do it, and then repeat that process every time you go, and you're pretty much set. Alright, now how to kill the QBD. So go through the door and pot up for the fight. And for this fight I'm using melee just because it's the fastest, and I'm not going to use the other styles because it's basically the same concept. And remember, if you do not have super anti-fires, you're going to have to use a Dragon Fire Shield, pretty much a Dragon Fire Shield, or you can use the Falador 4 Shield. They recently made it where it has protection from Dragon Fire, but I think Dragon Fire Shield's better. So basically for phase 1, all you do is just build up your adrenaline using the basics, and then maybe use Destroy at around half kill. Destroy is a threshold. Also, if you do not have Soul Split, I would pray Range. It's probably the best prayer throughout the fight. Now for phase 2, again, you build up your adrenaline using basics, and then I would use Destroy and Assault throughout the kill, and you should be able to finish this one really fast. And also the first Tortured Soul spawns at this phase next to you, and what you do is you dodge the attack by clicking on the other side of him, and it should dodge the attack and hit him instead. Sadly, I failed mine, but it just takes a little bit of practice, and you should be able to master that. So keep on trucking through these phases, and you should be up to phase 3 soon. Now phase 3 is a little more tricky. What you have to do is build up adrenaline again, and maybe use a threshold or even 2, but I don't recommend using too many, because what you try to do is to get 100% adrenaline by the end of phase 3. This is for the Berserk on phase 4, because phase 4 is horrible. If you don't kill it fast enough, you will get wrecked. You probably won't die, but you probably will use too much food, and that's a waste of time and money. So once you're done with phase 3, turn off the pillar, and I didn't mention on the other phases, but the pillar you turn off for each phase is the one that's lit up. It's kind of common sense, but some people have asked me about that. So now you're on phase 4, run back to the QBD, and quickly turn on Berserk once you get to her, and then eat to full health, and then adrenaline pot. That way you won't lose any adrenaline by eating after the adrenaline pot. You have to do the adrenaline pot last, and then you'll have 25% adrenaline, so you'll be closer to a threshold. And then keep on attacking, and then once you have a threshold, use Assault because it's better, and you most likely will be able to kill it with that Assault and stuff. And then also on phase 4, there's also Time Stop. That attack, there's a Tortured Soul that spawns on one of the 2 sides of the arena thing, and they keep on saying random stuff, and then you have to go kill it before he time stops. And if you're time stopped on the 4th wave, sometimes you will die, so it's a little harder. And the last thing about phase 4 that you need to know is it also has her giant like fire breath attack, where it'll say something in the chat where it says she has extreme fire or something like that, and that you have to run to the side of the arena again to get away from the path. So once you're done with phase 4, turn off the pillar and then go down the entrance that arrives. So basically now you know how to kill QBD, and hope you enjoyed the guide. I know it still might be hard for some people, but hopefully this helped you guys get through the brunt of it. And I really hope you guys start doing QBD and making a lot of money. If you're interested, I have a loot from 1000 QBD video in the description. And also, please like the video, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, because I spent a long time on this guide, and maybe even suggest more guides I can do for PVM. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.